So when I took this phone out of the box, I was not expecting it to be this bezel-less. Usually phones on pictures really look a lot better than in person, but here the pictures are actually fairly close to what you see in person. And the specs here are decent. They're not great, but they're decent enough that it's not complete crap. You got a 6-inch screen, Mediatek 6750, and 20 megapixel cameras as well. So yeah, let's unbox this thing and see what we got. So guys, I've been reviewing a lot of expensive devices lately, and here we have a cheaper device, the Cubot X18 Plus. And this is a bezel-less phone with some actually okay specifications, especially from Cubot, and I'll talk about that later. But it's got a 6-inch screen, 6750, real dual cameras, 20 megapixels for one, 4 gigs, 64 gigs of RAM, fingerprint sensor, Android 8.0 Oreo, which I'm very surprised by, as well as a 4,000 milliamp hour battery as well. So let's get on with the unboxing, and while we're doing that, I'm going to talk about Cubot for a little bit. So Cubot usually does low-end devices, and I remember when I was asking them last time, will you ever do a flagship? They said no. And this is still not a flagship, but it's definitely a step up from their regular Mediatek 6737 devices that they usually give me. So honestly, I'm pretty hyped, and I hope that one day they will start doing a flagship device. So we got a pin popper here. We have compliance regulation, or the FCC ROHS compliance stuff. We have a quick start guide for the Cubot X18. Pretty useless as most quick start guides go. We have a nice flat USB cable. It's a marked USB, sadly, and we also have a charger here. So let's close it all up and look at the phone itself. All right, this is the phone itself, and it actually comes with a case as well. This case is the low quality TPU case. It gets very grimy and fingerprinty very fast, so we're going to put that aside and look at the actual phone, what it looks like. Alright, gonna be honest, the Cubot X18 Plus is not the greatest of build quality, but it is a step up again for Cubot. Usually they have pretty, not that great build quality, but here is actually better. So the back here is plastic, but it doesn't feel too bad. However, it is a fingerprint magnet as well. As you can see, there are already fingerprints on the back of the phone. And on the back of the phone, you got the fingerprint sensor that is recessed quite a little bit, which means you don't mistake the fingerprint sensor for the camera. And you have the dual cameras, a 20 megapixel and 2 megapixel camera, I think. And the second camera here is going to be pretty much useless. And if you turn it to the side, you will see that the camera module sticks out a little bit. I'm not a fan of that, but they do have a case with it, so that's less of an issue. Then again, I still do not like it. I would rather they have it flush against the body. And here we have the buttons, power as well as the volume buttons, SIM slot. And would you look at that, we have a headphone jack, which is disappearing in all the more expensive phones. So nice. Those of you who want a headphone jack, this is the phone for you. And here we also have a micro USB, sadly, no USB-C, and volume speakers as well. Volume speakers? That was kind of weird. Speakers, not volume speakers. All right, let's take a look at the bezels now. I'm going to turn the phone on and install a couple of things, and we'll look at how big the bezels are. All right, so I've turned the phone on and installed my Google account. And I'm going to be honest, when I held the phone in my hands, this phone felt very big and bulky, so I was not expecting such small bezels from this phone. The top and the bottom bezels are small enough. They're still pretty big compared to, let's say, my Elephone U Pro, which I'm going to bring over here. So as you can see, the Elephone U Pro's top and bottom bezels are a lot smaller than what you have on the Cubot X18 Plus, but still, they're definitely small enough to not be completely ugly. Now, the side bezels here are also not too big. They are, again, bigger than the Elephone U Pro because the side bezels here are not curved. But then again, they aren't actually that big either. And again, I'm very impressed that Cubot is able to shrink the bezels down to such a size, especially for a cheap phone like this. Let's talk quickly about the software now. Very impressed that they have Oreo installed on this phone. I honestly was not expecting that. Look at that, Android 8.0 Oreo. This is such a new phone, and they already have Oreo installed on this, and this is not even a flagship device either. Like the Elephone U Pro has it, which is nice on that phone, but a lot of other phones don't have it, like the Smart as a Nut Pro 2, Xiaomi phones, even Samsung phones don't even have Oreo. And as you can see, the stock launcher here is very nice. You got the swipe up, which I think should be standard in pretty much every launcher now, even the Google launcher. Don't know if you're watching this, Google, but come on. And stuff generally feels pretty smooth. I will say that the glass doesn't feel as nice as like Gorilla Glass 5 with like oleophobic coating. It feels a little bit jerky when you drag your finger across because of the material on the glass itself, but the glass on this looks pretty good. So before I show you the screen, I want to show you this photo that came with the phone itself. This is the inside of the Cubot office, I'm pretty sure. And you can see that there are some New Year decorations, but this office is probably empty right now. Everyone's at home. So I gotta say that the Cubot has the bad misfortune of having to be reviewed after the Elephone U Pro and the Smart as a Nut Pro 2. because the Elephone U Pro obviously has an AMOLED display, which I really like, and the Smartest Nut Pro 2 has one of the best LCD displays I've ever seen. Insane contrast, insane brightness. It's just a great display overall. That being said, the Cubot X18 display here is actually not that bad. It looks pretty good. As you can see, there's some pretty good saturation in the grass, the yellow line in the middle, as well as the sky. And if we go to the next picture over here, you can see that the sunlight on the left has a very nice yellow tint to it as well. The screen itself is pretty color balanced, a lot better color balance than the Elephone U Pro actually. And yeah, this is pretty much a pretty good LCD display, but it's not the best LCD display that you can find. But I think it'll definitely satisfy pretty much everyone who's looking at it, except for maybe tech reviewers who are able to find fault in pretty much everything, like me. So yeah, good display overall. Not the best, but definitely usable. Let's have a quick look at the speakers on the Cubot X18 Plus. I'm gonna play a clip from Star Wars Battlefront 2 Aerial Dogfight from Naboo.
Must fall, whatever it takes.
So before I move on, I just want to bring up the fact that, as you could probably see, there was some lag in this. This is currently streaming at 1080p 60 frames a second, and I cannot tell if the lag is coming from the phone itself or is it coming from this guy who's recording his stream, because every time it seems like he dives to the ground, it seems like the frame rate dips, but then when he points back to the sky, the frame rate goes back up. I'm pretty sure it's this. I'm pretty sure it's not this phone, but I'll confirm just to be sure as we continue testing the phone. So before we finish up, I just want to comment that I've always had a pretty good relationship with Cubot phones. They've really never let me down. To be honest, Cubot phones usually don't have great, amazing specs with, the latest and greatest of everything, but Cubot phones always work. They never have bugs in their software. Well, I should never say never, but they very seldom have bugs in their software, like game-breaking bugs or just like use-breaking bugs in their software. Everything is very solid. Everything is very well polished and well finished compared to other phones and other manufacturers that I won't mention in this video. So that is something that you can expect from Cubot, and that is that level of quality. It's not Xiaomi quality, but it's definitely enough that you can expect a decent device when you get it, and it's not going to be completely broken and riddled with bugs. So I want to know your thoughts on the brand Cubot and whether you have had any experience with Cubot and whether or not this X18 Plus is a phone you do want to try. If you like seeing videos like this, why not subscribe? It's free. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.